Queen Alara sat on her tall throne, her eyes fixed on the empty space before her. The grand hall of the palace was quiet, almost too quiet for a place that usually hummed with life. Courtiers whispered among themselves, but none dared speak aloud. Everyone knew why. Her daughter, Princess Lyra, had been missing for years. No one knew where she had gone or what had happened to her. Some said she had been captured by pirates. Others whispered about rebels hiding her. But the truth remained unknown. And the queen's heart ached every day. Lyra had been a bright, strong, and kind princess. Even as a child, she had a curious mind, asking questions about worlds far beyond Zithera. She had loved to explore, to learn, to see what the galaxy had to offer. But her curiosity had led her away from home one day, and she had vanished. The palace had searched endlessly, sending fleets across nearby systems, but nothing had been found. The people of Zithera mourned quietly alongside their queen, yet life went on. In the outskirts of Zitheran space, far from the royal palace, a small sturdy ship moved through the stars. Its captain, a human named Ethan, adjusted the controls and checked the star maps. Humans were still a rare sight in this part of the galaxy. Most alien civilizations regarded them with curiosity, or doubt. Ethan had heard rumors of strange signals coming from Zithera's sector, signals that did not match known alien communications. Something was unusual, something important. Ethan had spent months tracing these signals. The path had taken him to dangerous regions filled with asteroid belts and pirate activity. He was not a soldier, not a fighter, but he was clever and resourceful. That had kept him alive. And somehow he had found her, Princess Lyra. She had been stranded on a distant, harsh world, surviving against odds that no one expected her to overcome. The first time Ethan had met Lyra, she had been cautious and afraid. She had seen countless strangers over the years, some kind and some cruel. Humans were unknown to her. She did not know if she could trust Ethan, but he had, helped her without asking for anything in return. He had shared food, repaired her broken shelter, and protected her from dangers she had long learned to fear. In those moments, Lyra saw something extraordinary in the human species. A combination of courage, compassion, and clever thinking that the aliens around her rarely displayed. Over time, trust grew, then respect, then a quiet friendship. And finally, something stronger, something neither of them expected. But leaving her home world, her mother, and her people was not easy. Lyra carried memories of the palace, of her mother's warmth and the life she had lost. Yet she knew she could not survive alone. Ethan had become her companion, protector, and eventually her partner. Back on Zithera, the palace remained tense. Queen Alara could not stop thinking about her daughter. She often walked alone through the royal gardens, speaking softly to the stars as if Lyra might somehow hear her. Ministers discussed the possibility of sending more fleets or hiring mercenaries, but the queen shook her head each time. She did not want reckless action. She wanted her daughter back safe and alive. Then, one ordinary morning, a strange alert came to the palace. A ship was entering Zitheran space. The ship was unlike any the royal fleet recognized. It was small, but strong. Its design was unusual, simple, practical, but not primitive. Queen Alara ordered the royal guard to intercept. They prepared weapons, shields, and communication devices, unsure whether this was a friend, an enemy, or something entirely unexpected. As the ship approached, tension filled the air. Court members whispered nervously. The queen's heart beat faster. Could it be? She dared not hope, not yet. The ship landed softly on the royal landing platform. The doors opened and a figure emerged. Lyra. She was taller, older, stronger than when she had disappeared. Her hair had grown, and her eyes carried the weight of the years she had survived alone. But it was her face, the unmistakable face of the princess. That made the queen gasp. She stepped forward, unable to speak. Her daughter was alive. Alive. And then, beside Lyra, another figure stepped out of the ship. A human. Queen Alara's eyes widened in shock. Humans were not common in Zithera. And this human? He walked with quiet confidence, calm but alert. There was no sign of threat, yet the Queen's mind raced. Who was he? How did he find Lyra? Could she trust him? Lyra stepped forward and bowed, deeply before her mother. Her voice was steady, but her eyes shone with emotion. Mother, I am home. Queen Alara's throat tightened. She wanted to run forward, to embrace her daughter, to ask 1,000 questions at once. But she controlled, herself standing tall on her throne. Lyra, you are safe? She managed to ask. Lyra nodded. Yes, Mother. I have been safe, and I did not come alone. Her gaze shifted to Ethan. This is Ethan. He helped me survive. He saved my life, more than once. A murmur ran through the hall. Courtiers exchanged glances. Whispers began to grow. A human in the palace, beside the princess? It was unthinkable. Some were curious, some skeptical, and some clearly disapproving. The Queen's heart, however, was filled with relief and curiosity, mixed with caution. Lyra took a step, closer to the throne. I know you have questions, Mother. I will answer them. I will tell you everything. But I needed you to know. I am not alone anymore. The Queen's eyes softened, though her mind was still wary. She could see the bond between Lyra and Ethan, a bond built on trust, courage, and care. She did not yet understand it fully, but she knew one thing. Her daughter had returned, and she had brought someone extraordinary with her. The hall remained tense, but a quiet hope began to bloom. Perhaps the years of worry, of searching, of despair were finally over. Perhaps the princess had returned not just alive, but stronger, wiser, and ready to face whatever the future held. Outside the palace windows, the stars of Zithera shone bright, as if welcoming a lost daughter home, and somewhere in the depths of the galaxy, a human pilot had become a part of something far greater than he had ever imagined. The palace of Zithera buzzed with whispers as Princess Lyra and Ethan stepped into the grand hall. Courtiers exchanged nervous glances and guards shifted uneasily. A human had never walked in the royal halls before, and few could hide their surprise. Yet Lyra moved with grace and confidence, holding Ethan's hand lightly but firmly. She seemed changed, no longer the young, curious princess who had vanished years ago. She carried herself with quiet strength, a woman shaped by survival and experience. Queen Alara remained on her throne, her eyes fixed on her daughter. Relief mingled with worry, and 1,000 questions pressed against her mind. How had Lyra survived all these years? Why had she returned with a human? And most importantly, could the Queen trust him? Mother, Lyra began, her voice steady. I know my absence has caused pain and worry. I have no excuse for leaving without word. But I was trapped far from home and I could not escape on my own. She paused, glancing at Ethan, who gave a small nod of encouragement. I would not have survived without him. Ethan is not just a companion, he saved my life many times. He kept me safe when nothing else could. The hall grew quieter. Courtiers listened, some still skeptical, others curious. A human's presence so close to royalty was unheard of, yet Lyra's words carried conviction. She had lived through dangers they could not imagine, and Ethan had helped her survive them. A minister spoke cautiously. Princess, and this human, how can we know he is trustworthy? How can we know he has no hidden intentions? Ethan stepped forward slowly, keeping his hands visible. I have no claim to your throne, no desire to take power, he said in clear, calm words. I only wanted to help someone in need. Princess Lyra trusted me and I followed her because she needed protection. Queen Alara studied him carefully. There was no arrogance in his posture, no hint of greed in his eyes, yet she remained cautious. Humans were unknown to her people. They were clever, adaptable, and strong. But could they be counted as allies? Could one even earn the trust of a queen? Lyra noticed her mother's hesitation, She stepped closer and knelt briefly, a gesture of respect and humility that touched the queen's heart. "Mother, I would not have come without your blessing, but I needed you to see him. He is honorable. He is brave. He is the reason I am alive." The queen felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to reach out, to hold her daughter, to understand everything at once, but she remained seated, testing both Lyra and Ethan with her silence. Ethan took a deep breath and continued, "I do not wish to replace anyone. I only ask for the chance to show that humans can be trusted, and that I mean no harm." Some courtiers muttered, but others looked impressed. Humans had a reputation for ingenuity and courage, and Ethan's calm confidence reflected that. Yet there were still doubts. Trust was not given easily in the palace, and some feared the unknown. Lyra straightened. "Mother, I know you have rules, traditions, and concerns. I respect all of them. But the person who helped me survive, the person who became my partner, is Ethan. He deserves the chance to prove himself to you." The queen's gaze softened slightly. She had spent years imagining her daughter returning, but always alone. The idea of a human standing beside Lyra had been difficult to accept, and yet looking at Ethan, she saw no threat, only honesty and courage. A senior guard stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, perhaps we should observe this human before making judgment. Actions speak louder than words." The queen nodded very well. The next morning, the royal palace of Zythera was alive with curiosity and cautious excitement. Word of Princess Lyra's return had spread quickly, and every corner of the palace seemed to hum with whispers. Guards eyed Ethan with suspicion, courtiers speculated endlessly, and even the queen watched her daughter and the human closely. Today, Queen Alara had decided Ethan would face his first test, a chance to show that he was more than just a companion. Lyra guided him through the palace halls, explaining quietly, "The queen will not trust you immediately. No one will. You must show your mind, your courage, and your respect for our ways. Watch and listen. You cannot force acceptance, only earn it." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I will do my best." Their first stop was the Hall of Challenges, a large chamber where visiting dignitaries and palace residents demonstrated skill, strategy, and wisdom. The hall contained complex puzzles, training areas, and simulation exercises. It was meant to test judgment, quick thinking, and adaptability. The first test was a puzzle designed to challenge perception and logic. Crystals floated in midair, shifting and rotating, creating a complicated pattern. Lyra had solved it quickly as a child, and the queen expected anyone new to struggle. Ethan stepped forward, analyzing the shapes and their movements. He studied the patterns carefully, noticing how each crystal's color and rotation affected its neighbors. Using reasoning and observation, he touched the crystals in a precise sequence. Slowly, the pattern aligned and the crystals glowed softly. The crowd murmured in surprise. Humans were rarely expected to solve these puzzles, yet Ethan had done it calmly, without hesitation or luck. Queen Alara's eyes narrowed slightly, impressed but still cautious. She could not yet trust him fully. She motioned for the next test. The second challenge was a simulation of a palace threat. An intruder had breached the royal grounds, and the candidate had to respond without harming anyone. Guards and observers watched as holographic figures appeared, attempting to storm the palace. Ethan studied the situation carefully. Unlike the aliens, who relied heavily on technology and strength, he relied on observation, timing, and strategy. He quickly devised a plan, guiding guards to block the intruders, sealing entrances and protecting civilians, all without engaging in direct combat. His actions were precise, thoughtful, and effective. The intruders were neutralized safely, and no one was harmed. The courtiers whispered among themselves. They had seen many challengers in the Hall of Challenges, but none had managed to handle this scenario with such intelligence and care. Some were beginning to reconsider their doubts about humans. Lyra stood beside him, pride shining in her eyes. "You did well," she said softly. You see, humans can think differently. Sometimes, that is exactly what is needed. Ethan smiled briefly but did not relax. He knew the Queen's approval would not come easily. Next came the final part of the trial, an interview with the Queen herself where his character, intentions, and loyalty would be tested. Queen Alara sat regally, her expression calm but sharp. She studied Ethan carefully, as if weighing every word before it even left his mouth. Ethan, she said, her voice steady, you have survived and helped my daughter. That is clear. But survival alone does not earn trust in this palace. Tell me why you are here, and why I should allow a human in our royal halls. Ethan bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, I am here because I care for Princess Lyra. I do not seek power, riches, or status. I wish only to be honorable and trustworthy. I want to help, to support her, and to learn from your people. I do not expect immediate acceptance, only the chance to prove myself through action. The Queen's eyes flickered, assessing him. And if I say no, then I will respect your decision, Ethan replied without hesitation. I will follow your rules, your ways, and remain outside the palace if that is what is required. I do not demand privilege. I only ask to be honest and useful. The Queen studied him silently for a long moment. There was honesty in his words, but there was also courage, the courage to face judgment without fear. Finally, she spoke. Very well. You may remain in the palace, but understand this. Trust is not given lightly here. It must be earned through deeds, loyalty, and respect for our traditions. Ethan inclined his head. I understand, Your Majesty. I will do my best. The Queen nodded, a small sign of approval, though not yet complete acceptance. She had seen many intelligent and capable beings in her lifetime, but humans were different. They were resilient, clever, and capable of empathy in ways she did not fully understand. Ethan had demonstrated that already. Over the next few days, Ethan continued to prove himself. He learned the palace routines quickly, observed customs carefully, and showed respect to everyone he met. He helped repair small mechanical devices, advised guards on security measures, and assisted in logistics for palace events. Each action, simple or complex, displayed his human ingenuity and resourcefulness. Some courtiers began to admire him. Others still whispered, doubting whether a human could truly belong in their world. But Lyra stood beside him constantly, explaining his actions, vouching for his loyalty, and showing that she trusted him completely. Her confidence in Ethan began to sway even the most skeptical observers. One evening, as the sun set over the alien gardens of the palace, Lyra and Ethan walked together in quiet reflection. It is harder than I thought, Ethan said. People are suspicious, cautious, even afraid of me. Lyra smiled. That is expected. Humans are unknown here, but you have already done more than most could. Keep being patient, keep showing who you are. That is all you can do. Ethan looked at her, feeling a warmth he had not known in years. I want to belong here, not just for you, but for this place too. Your people deserve to see humans as capable, honorable, and strong. Lyra squeezed his hand. They will in time, and when they do, it will be because of you. Far above, the stars of Zithra twinkled as if watching the unfolding story. A human had entered the royal halls, and slowly, carefully, was earning a place not just beside the princess, but in the hearts of a world that had never known him before. The Palace of Zithra had grown quiet in the days following Ethan's first trials. The courtiers whispered less openly now, but suspicion lingered like a shadow over every corridor. Not everyone had welcomed the human, and some voices quietly plotted against him. Among them was Lord Vaylor, a senior advisor with sharp eyes and a cunning mind. He had always believed humans were unpredictable and dangerous, and the idea of one so close to the princess enraged him. Vaylor did not act openly. Instead, he moved like a shadow, observing Ethan and Lyra, waiting for a single mistake he could exploit. To the public, he appeared calm and loyal, but inside he was preparing a scheme to discredit Ethan and challenge the Queen's judgment. Meanwhile, Ethan adapted quickly to palace life. He helped organize the royal library, repaired delicate machinery in the observatory, and even assisted in mapping new star routes for the fleet. Each task showed the court that humans were clever, disciplined, and capable of learning alien ways quickly. Yet no matter how skilled he became, he could not erase the quiet doubts that lingered. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a palace alarm rang out. It was rare for any emergency to occur, and the hallways filled with tension. Guards rushed to the source, weapons drawn, but Ethan and Lyra were already moving quickly toward the control room. A holographic display showed strange energy signatures near the palace perimeter. Someone had tried to infiltrate the palace, but their technology was unfamiliar, advanced, precise, and deliberate. It was clearly not the work of ordinary thieves or common enemies. Lyra's heart raced. "This could be Vaylor's doing," she said quietly. "He wants to make you look dangerous, Ethan. We need to stop him without letting anyone get hurt." Ethan nodded, scanning the holograms. "We need to act fast. We can't let them cause chaos or scare the citizens. Let me handle the strategy. You coordinate with the guards." Lyra agreed, and together they moved efficiently. Ethan analyzed the attackers' approach and quickly identified weak points in their plan. He advised the guards on how to contain the intruders using distractions and barriers instead of violence. He even suggested reprogramming some palace drones to protect the perimeter without harming anyone. The attackers' attempt failed. They were forced to retreat, leaving behind traces of their technology. Some were clever enough to leave false evidence, making it appear that Ethan had somehow been involved. The plan was subtle but dangerous. Lord Vaylor had hoped to create distrust between the Queen and her daughter. Queen Alara summoned both Lyra and Ethan immediately. Her eyes were sharp, but there was also concern. "Explain this," she demanded, pointing to the evidence that had been planted. "It seemed very convenient, does it not?" Lyra stepped forward firmly. "Mother, Ethan had nothing to do with this. Someone is trying to make him look guilty. I have seen how he works. He protects. He helps. He never harms. The evidence is false. We need to find the true culprit before anyone believes lies." Ethan added, "Your Majesty, I am loyal to you in this palace. I do not seek power, influence, or recognition. Whoever did this is using deception to create doubt. Let me investigate." The Queen's gaze lingered on Ethan. She wanted to trust him fully, but the palace had seen too much deception over the years. "Very well," she said, "but be careful. One Emmy." The palace of Zithara had regained a sense of calm after the failed plot of Lord Vaylor, but not for long. Shadows still lingered in the corridors, whispers of rebellion echoing quietly among those who had feared the human. Deep in the royal records chamber, a hidden figure studied maps, star routes, and palace blueprints. The rogue had a plan far more dangerous than before, a plan that could threaten not just Princess Lyra and Ethan, but the entire capital. Late one evening, Ethan was called to the Queen's private chambers. The walls glowed softly with alien, crystal lights, and the air was filled with a quiet tension. Queen Alara's expression was serious. "Ethan," she said, "it seems someone is still trying to challenge our peace. There are signs of sabotage and intrusion. I need you to help protect the palace." Ethan nodded. "I am ready, Your Majesty. Tell me everything you know." Lyra joined them, holding a small data device containing recent security logs. "We have identified unusual energy signatures near the outer perimeter. Someone has been trying to bypass our defenses for weeks. They are clever and they know the palace systems well." The Queen's eyes softened as she looked at her daughter. "Lyra, you have grown stronger, wiser, and braver. But this is dangerous. We must act carefully." Ethan studied the data. His human mind immediately saw patterns the aliens had overlooked. The intruders' plan was methodical. They intended to cause a major distraction in the capital, then kidnap Lyra. The rogue hoped to reignite fear, create distrust, and possibly force the Queen to reconsider her decisions regarding humans. "Lyra, clenched her fists. They won't succeed, we won't let them. Ethan laid out a strategy. We need to split our forces. The guards will secure the main gates and citizens. Lyra, you guide them. I will handle the intruders and protect you directly. We can anticipate their moves if we act fast and smart. The Queen hesitated. You are human. Are you certain you can handle this? I trust my instincts, Ethan replied firmly. I have faced worse, and I will not fail. The night grew darker as the palace prepared for the attack. Citizens were guided to secure locations. Guards took their positions, and Ethan and Lyra moved silently through the corridors, ready for whatever was coming. Hours passed, and then the intruders struck. Energy fields flickered, alarms rang, and holographic simulations of explosions created chaos in the outer sections. Ethan immediately assessed the situation, using a combination of human logic and careful observation. He guided guards to block false intruders while keeping citizens safe. Lyra followed closely, her sharp mind coordinating the palace personnel. Together, they moved like a team perfected by experience. Ethan's strategies relied on speed, foresight, and clever misdirection, while Lyra's knowledge of palace routines ensured efficiency. The attackers had no idea they were facing a human mind that could anticipate their every move. In the control chamber, Ethan identified the rogue's main device, a mechanism designed to open a secret passage for the intruders. With careful precision, he disabled it, using a combination of manual overrides and quick calculations. The rogue's plan began to unravel. The intruders realized their scheme had failed. They tried to retreat, but Ethan and the palace guards cornered them safely. Not a single person was harmed. The citizens watched in awe as the human had outsmarted enemies who had intended destruction and chaos. Finally, the rogue himself appeared, a tall, cunning figure who had hidden among the palace staff. He raised a weapon, aiming at Lyra. Time seemed to slow. Ethan reacted instantly, moving between the rogue and the princess. Using a clever maneuver, he disarmed the rogue without causing harm. Lyra quickly restrained him with the help of palace guards. The palace was silent for a moment. The danger passed. Then, murmurs of admiration spread. Citizens and guards had witnessed courage, intelligence, and quick thinking in action. A human had saved the princess, defended the palace, and stopped a sophisticated attack without harming anyone. Queen Alara stepped forward, her voice echoing through the hall. This human Ethan has proven himself beyond any doubt. He has protected my daughter, my palace, and my people. He has shown courage, intelligence, and loyalty that surpass expectations. Lyra smiled, relief and pride shining in her eyes. Mother, Ethan has not only saved me, but he has shown everyone that humans can be trusted. They are capable of greatness. Ethan bowed respectfully. I only did what was right. That is all anyone can do. I am grateful for the chance to serve and protect. The Queen studied him, her expression softening fully now. She could see his loyalty, his cleverness, and his courage. Humans, she realized, were more capable than she had imagined. They were not just survivors. They were protectors, problem solvers, and allies who could stand beside the best of her people. The rogue was taken into custody, and the palace returned to calm. Yet the story of Ethan's bravery spread quickly. Courtiers who had doubted him now admired his intelligence and courage. Citizens whispered about the human who had outsmarted a dangerous enemy. Even some of the Queen's strictest advisors nodded in quiet approval. Later, Lyra and Ethan walked through the palace gardens under the soft glow of alien moonlight. The air was calm and the stars reflected off the crystal fountains. You did it, Lyra said softly. You saved everyone, and you proved yourself to the Queen and the people. I am so proud of you. Ethan smiled, though he felt the weight of the night's events. I only did what was necessary. But thank you for trusting me and standing with me. Lyra reached for his hand, holding it gently. We face challenges together. That is how it has always been, and that is how it will always be. High Above the palace, the stars twinkled silently. A human had entered the royal halls, faced danger, and emerged as a hero. His courage, intelligence, and loyalty had not only saved a princess and a palace, but had begun to change how the galaxy might see humans forever. The night ended with a quiet celebration in the palace. Guards, citizens, and courtiers alike acknowledged Ethan's bravery. Queen Alara watched from her balcony, her thoughts filled with hope. Perhaps humans were not just visitors in the galaxy. They could be heroes, partners, and protectors. Perhaps, with courage and heart, they could achieve greatness beyond imagination. And somewhere in the future, the galaxy would witness the full measure of human strength. For now, Princess Lyra and Ethan stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges came next. Together, they were unstoppable. The sun rose over Zithera, bathing the palace in warm golden light. The events of the past weeks had left a lasting mark on the royal halls. Citizens and courtiers alike spoke of the human who had returned a princess safely to her mother and defended the palace from danger. Ethan's courage and intelligence were the talk of the planet, and slowly, hearts that had once doubted him began to open. Queen Alara stood in the main balcony of the palace, gazing over the city. The streets were filled with celebrations, music, and laughter. She had spent years worrying about her missing daughter, fearing that Lyra would never return. Now, not only had her daughter come back, but she had brought someone remarkable by her side. Ethan had proven himself, not through words, but through action. And the queen could no longer deny his worth. "Mother," Lyra said softly, stepping beside her. "Thank you for trusting us. I know it was not easy to accept him at first." The queen smiled gently. "You have grown, my daughter. And he has proven himself in ways I did not imagine possible. Humans are clever, brave, and loyal. I see now why you chose to stand beside him." Ethan stood nearby, bowing slightly. "Your Majesty, I am grateful for your trust. I do not take it lightly. I will continue to serve, protect, and honor both you and the palace." The queen studied him carefully. "You have earned your place here, Ethan. Not because of your words, but because of your actions. You have shown that humans are not just survivors. They are heroes, thinkers, and friends to those who need them." Lyra beamed at Ethan, pride shining in her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt completely at peace. She had survived dangerous worlds, faced unknown threats, and endured loneliness. Yet here she stood, alive, triumphant, and with someone she trusted completely by her side. The palace announced a grand celebration to honor Lyra's return and Ethan's bravery. Citizens from all corners of Zithera flocked to the capital. Colorful, banners waved in the wind, music filled the streets, and lights shimmered over the city. It was a day to remember, a day to mark courage, loyalty, and unity between worlds. During the ceremony, Queen Alara spoke to the crowd. "Today, we celebrate the return of my daughter, Princess Lyra. But we also honor a remarkable being from a distant world. Ethan has proven that courage, intelligence, and loyalty know no species. Humans may be new to our galaxy, but they are capable of greatness, as he has shown us." The crowd erupted in applause. Children cheered, adults smiled, and even the most skeptical courtiers bowed in acknowledgement. For many, it was a moment of revelation. Humans could be more than outsiders. They could be allies, heroes, and friends. Lyra and Ethan walked together through the palace gardens, which had been decorated for the celebration. The alien flowers glowed softly under the evening lights, and the soft hum of music filled the air. Citizens waved and cheered as the couple passed, their hands gently intertwined. "I never imagined this day," Lyra said quietly, "that I would return home, be safe, and be accepted.